the first meeting of the Town Administrator Search Committee Town Administrator Search Committee. Call the meeting to order. We're gonna go around the room and just do introductions. Kevin O'Grady, Chief of Police.
Glenn Sexton on the select board.
Mark Bale, former selectman and citizen.
Jennifer Millette, Finance Committee.
Dave DeRocher, Highway Department.
Kathy Bronner, Chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And
Okay. So I know Brian Hochschild can't make it tonight, and Jennifer Bartos from the school committee is running a little late, so just told her we'd start without her. So I guess the first thing we need to do is organize the group. I took the pro temp chair just so we could get the meeting started, but we're gonna need a chairperson, probably a vice chair, and a clerk.
I can be none.
Yeah. I don't mind doing like the vice chair to try to help, but I think the chair should be somebody else, you know.
yeah, because it's kind of a direct report.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't mean to do.
No, I know what you
Don't
mean,
mind doing the
yeah.
vice chair to try to help
Yeah.
coordinate things and everything else,
I'm
but,
thinking either Mark or Brian.
right, I don't know how.
Brian's not here, so
Right.
Mark is, so if Mark is interested, I'd be.
Yeah, I'd rather do that than the clerk already take. I'm already secretary for different organizations, so.
Okay, so we got to take a nomination?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that Mark Bale is the chair for the committee.
Do we get a second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Move that Kevin O'Grady become the vice chair.
Second motion.
All in favor? Sorry? No
Yeah.
discussion.
It's actually, it's his,
I'm gonna wait.
it's his job now.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
right.
I was like, okay, I'm it's no longer.
There's our time delay
I
here,
just
you
wait for
know?
someone to say it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, we need a clerk. Do we have any volunteers? Or actually, this is on you now. We need a clerk.
Oh, yeah, okay. We need a clerk.
Clerk for the minutes, the only thing is that I chair the zoning and I also do all the minutes, so I just want to make sure timely.
Somebody
wanna
else
wait?
secretary?
Jen gets here, so she's interested in doing it.
Yeah, I guess we can wait for that, right?
All right, I'll do it.
I don't.
So everybody, yeah. All right.
Oh,
I'll make
nominate,
the motion.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, that's not fair.
make a motion, Kathy Bronner be the clerk.
Yeah.
Second motion.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Before she changes her mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you have to move quick on that one.
If you want, I'll handle the notes for the first one since I'm kind
Right,
of
right.
Okay, so we've organized.
Yep.
Everybody knows each other. Let's go over the job description. We don't read it into the record. You don't have to take it for minutes, but they probably want it on TV.
Yeah, might as well. I think that's the smart way.
You gonna do it?
If it's up to you.
Yeah, I should brought my reading glasses.
Well, I got glasses on, so.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the job description that was posted, the town of Granby, population 6,060 people, seeks an experienced, thoughtful, and skilled leader with strong communication and collaborative skills to serve as its next town administrator. This classic small New England community has a rich agricultural history and hometown feel and is located near the University of Massachusetts at Amherst and the 5-college area in the beautiful Pioneer Valley. Led by a 3-member select board and open town meeting form of government, the administrator is the town's chief administrative and operating officer and oversees a municipal operating budget of approximately $22 million. The town administrator will support and advise the select board and manage the day-to-day municipal operations under his purview. Candidates should have knowledge and competence in municipal finance and budgeting, project management, human resource and personnel administration, Massachusetts municipal law, and intergovernmental and community relations. The successful candidate should possess 5 years of progressive municipal management and leadership experience or similar responsibilities in a state or federal government agency. A master's degree in public administration or a related field is preferred. An equivalent combination of education and experience which demonstrates possession of the required knowledge, skills, and abilities may also be considered. A position profile and job description may be found on the Town of Granby website, which we're reading. The salary range will be $100,000 to $150,000 and will be commensurate with qualifications and experience. Submit a resume and cover letter as a PDF attachment to C. Leonard at granby-ma.gov. Resumes and cover letters are to be accepted through November 8th, 2024. Town of Granby does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, or religion in employment or provisions of services. And as an AA/EOE employer, the Town of Granby is an equal opportunity employer.
Okay.
Okay, so that's done. So we can move to the committee charge.
Yep,
So, for this position has been advertised or?
it has
It has
been.
been advertised,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So we'll need to develop a list of questions for the candidates. Receive applications. I think that those are coming in. Select candidates and conduct pre-screening interviews. Conduct reference checks on the finalists and select the finalists. And then submit the finalists to the Board of Selectmen by December 27th, 2024.
Question for you, do you want to wait till we see some of the applications before we develop a list of the questions? Sometimes you want to tailor those questions to what you see coming back.
I don't see a downside of it. I think there's some obvious questions, but maybe you might want to look at the pool. It might inform a couple of extra questions, you know?
Yeah, one of the things I don't like at school is historically we'd ask the same 10
Generic,
questions. They're all generic, and it's like there's a lot to be said for follow-ups and things that are tailored to the actual people.
That's why I think if you see like 5 resumes in front of you, you can
Yep.
sort of get an idea of the flavor of the direction you want to ask, and you can ask everybody the same question.
And you might see some
Based on-
polls, you know, because one of the things I was thinking about is not in this job description, but it's just their familiarity with technology, you know, to be looking for it. And their comfort level with, beyond being knowledgeable in the laws and the municipality and that, but they're, because
So
we're
I
ahead
just
of-
have a question.
Go ahead.
What exactly does the administrator do? Do we have a separate accountant?
We do have a separate account.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, town administrator would be like a CEO, kind of sort of like the superintendent. I'll say this for the television. So we have a town treasurer
Yep.
who receives like accounts receivable, deposits and all that kind of stuff. We have the town collector who sends out the bills.
Yeah.
And then the town accountant kind of takes care of the general ledger of the town. So,
And then that person, the administrator, would oversee it.
Yes.
If there's any, like, they're the ones who communicate between the departments?
And he prepares the budgets for the year.
Right.
Oversees the budgeting process.
I just want to
And if it's like a
understand.
department head runs into an issue, they
have it.
they go down and talk to the administrator, and then
Okay.
he figures out how, like, okay, we gotta bring that to the select board, we have to, you know, how we're gonna approach it, handle it this way, and then we'll go to the, you know what I mean, just
Yeah.
different things, so.
Okay.
One thing in our town too, he's also the chief procurement officer, which in larger towns, it's all a separate position usually.
Yeah.
But it isn't in our
Yeah.
town.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a jack of all trades.
Now, do we have an org chart in the town? Or is there, I'm just asking that as an outsider. I mean, I'm
As
just so
somebody
used to
actually,
corporate,
yeah.
I'm so used to
Right.
org charts.
Yeah.
Well, and to a point, you do and you don't.
Okay,
Because-
no, that's good.
because, I mean, really, the town administrator is responsible
For everyone flows up to
for most
him or her.
departments, but then we have a strong chief for a fire chief, we have a strong
Right.
chief for a police chief, but then we have more so the highway department,
Okay.
the
And
council on
all to the
aging,
board?
reports up to him.
Yeah, so, and it's, anybody who is elected is not
Mhm.
overseen by the select board.
Right,
Yeah, I mean, the town administrator is a really difficult job. I think in a lot of ways it's worse than being a school superintendent because, oh, there's Jen.
There's Jim.
Yeah, schools are just, they're much more organized because
Yeah.
the state has so many guidelines and everything like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
Hey, Jen.
But I mean,
No.
if you think about, like a town administrator is comparable to a mayor of a city.
Right,
On
Yeah.
a smaller
Right.
scale.
Really
Yeah.
responsible for the day-to-day operation.
Marquis passes on the job.
You know, and he, she does certain things with the approval of the select
Right.
board. A mayor does some things with the approval of the city council.
Council.
So,
yeah,
that's,
Me?
again, it's just running the day-to-day operation.
right.
But I do like the thought process that, and I like starting off with several general questions so that we're consistent
Mhm.
for each person that
I
we
agree with you.
interview.
I-
But then
I
you can start
agree.
tailoring it as to how someone
You gotta
answers
make
the
them
question.
consistent to everybody, but I think a lot of times, when I've hired people in the past, when you start seeing, like, people jumping jobs all the time, so you're gonna wanna ask a question, how come, or how long have you served in your previous positions?
And I agree 100% with that.
But you don't need to do that if you've got 5 candidates that are really pretty dedicated and have not shown that they're jumping around, you know, so you
But
can.
Glenn is right, because if you're looking at a candidate pool, so say, making this up, you have 15 applicants, 8 of them, it's the first batch you want to move forward, so if you have 5 or 6 of similar questions, you can grade them, you know, and
Yep.
and if you see a pattern of someone going to jobs, that's where you drill in.
Right,
That you don't have to select them. Mine is, because we go through interview processes, we have like 20 questions that we ask every candidate. So we keep it consistent and based on their knowledge or how, like certain words one candidate will say that you go, okay, that fits in the line. They can all answer the question the same way. It's just that one word can change their knowledge.
And like you say, you can go from those questions. You can go,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
You follow
their
Yeah.
response, you say,
Okay.
oh, well, wait a minute, you said this.
Right.
Right.
You have a follow-up question based on the response.
Right.
So I don't know if it's similar to when we've done superintendent searches, but when we've had the group for the interview, I know I'm late to the party too.
No, please, Jen.
But, you know, we had 6 questions
Mhm.
and I would always ask question number 1 to every single
Yep.
candidate, so it was the same for everything. But we had to be very careful with follow-up questions because you can't give one person more time. So we have to be, at least for the superintendent searches, if you give one person, it's just like equal minutes for your advertising for a political candidate, is the way it was explained to me by the MASC person, is if you give somebody a chance to expound, you have to try to find a way to let every candidate expound in the same way, because otherwise you're getting additional information and pull that you wouldn't have gotten.
Would that apply
otherwise.
to a pre-selection? I mean, narrowing it down versus the final interviews? I see it on the final interviews.
The way it was
No, I
explained to
just got-
me,
Yeah,
and I haven't been on the pre-part, I've only
Yeah.
been in the final part.
okay.
Is that everything had to be pretty even
Mhm.
across, because if someone goes back and looks and be like, well, you spent 45 extra minutes with this person, I didn't get that time. So that's a concern of mine, is that if you
Mhm.
say follow-up questions, I think we have to be careful that the question, if we ask one candidate a follow-up question, we have to be able to
Mm.
allow everybody a chance.
But you will get, based on the person that's being interviewed, they may give you a 10-minute response. Someone else might give you a 2-minute response.
Mm.
It's the same question, they just had less
But,
input.
I
so-
mean, but I think sometimes for interviews, we're responsible to be respectful of everyone's time. If we give a candidate a time of an hour, and we know we have 6 questions, we can make that clear to people too.
Yeah,
Right, we
but
could
you
do something
can't
like
make
that.
someone- Yeah,
Yeah.
because you can't make, if someone spends 10 minutes answering a question, then we can like try to wrap it up, but.
But I
if
think, you know,
someone-
the questions that we have to make sure that we're not getting, to be perfectly blunt, like a long-winded answer. Like we want people to be able to have the ability to speak and say their piece, but we don't want it to be a long-winded narration. They should be, part of what we're looking for is someone that can take the piece of information, answer the question succinctly, not like, unlike I am doing right now.
But for example, so if you ask someone as a general question, can you explain your experience as it relates to this position? That might take someone 10 minutes to explain it. It might take someone else 5. It's based on their experience.
And a 10-minute person could just give you all the answers we're looking for.
Right.
All of us think, yeah, okay, and then
That's
the
true.
5-minute person, we could elaborate. I think as long as we give people, say, okay, interviews are an hour, whatever we
Yeah.
determine.
Yeah.
If somebody
Yeah,
talks too
we set the
long,
time.
That's a sign too,
if somebody
right?
talks too long, it's like, it's not gonna be something I'm gonna give a plus to.
Yeah.
I just interviewed somebody yesterday for a job, with my principal. We had like the set questions, which frankly, are not very good questions to find out. I mean, when I first interviewed the person, I could already tell if they knew what they needed to know, and I could tell, what kind of teacher they're gonna be in a classroom. We had the set questions, but at the end, like, it's like, how does this fit the standards? And it's just like, it's really not, the questions themselves are not very good opportunities for people to expound. So I just asked her at the end, I said, tell me a rewarding experience you had with a student, which I kind of find that's kind of important to know from a teacher to see how they look at that. I think it's like a fine line. I think we have to have prepared questions, but if we feel the need to push further,
Dig down
we're
in.
asking.
Well, the
Because
good news is we get to create the questions.
So
Right.
how many
So-
interviews we have preliminary interviews
So-
and then a final?
Right, I guess that's what we'd have to figure out as we get closer.
Yeah.
My understanding is 13 or 14 applications in
Okay.
Kathy Leonard's possession
Wow.
right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we still have another, almost 2 weeks
2 weeks.
for them to be submitted.
Okay.
All right.
My suggestion would be try to schedule a meeting, give everybody a week to kind of look at the job description, and kind of come up with, maybe not even next week, the week after, whatever, just kind of get together quickly again.
Yeah.
I think we should probably start thinking executive sessions after this, because we don't want our questions flying out there and getting people a
Right.
chance to be
Right.
prepared or
Yeah.
anything. And then,
Do we have this is just me, a breakdown of what the individual does, like the responsibilities? Is there like a description of
I think a
that?
little bit of it's in that job description that I read
The
off.
job posting.
That's very vague.
I know, but that's, unfortunately, that's kind of what Chris does though, right now.
Could
He's
you
done a
ask
little-
Chris to put a list
Chris
together,
does
like
have a list that they've
Okay.
been
procurement
putting
officer and
together,
all
Yeah.
the other key?
the day-to-day responsibilities, what he's
Okay.
responsible
Okay.
for.
Could I get
Yes.
something like that? Okay. thank
Yeah, I
you.
I know, my dad's around, and he actually looked up the description and sent it into, I think, Chris and Kathy, so, I mean, because other towns have them posted and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and that's probably,
Right.
it may
Yeah.
be better than actually having Chris
Is
make
this,
those things.
so, excuse my naiveness, but he's the town administrator, but he also wears like 17 other hats, right?
Correct.
So which position are we hiring for? Is it just for the overarching town administrator?
Yes.
Or is it also town accountant?
No.
Not the town
No.
accountant, definitely not.
No.
But no, he's still,
Town
he's
administrator.
the procurement officer. I don't know, the board's gonna have to address.
So how is all of the rest of that gonna shake out? Like, so that's not inclusive in this, but those are still, does that mean then that those are all still open positions that we'll have as of 10/31 or whatever the last date is, or
No.
are they all posted?
Chris has 2 jobs right now. He is the accountant and he's the town administrator.
And
Like-
also procurement officer?
That's a.
That falls
But that
under.
It falls under
Okay.
town
So-
administrator,
So
right?
he has a lot of responsibilities that falls under
Yeah.
the hat of the town administrator. Those
Okay.
are what that person is responsible for.
And I think actually the board asked him, and there's like a 1.5-page list
Yeah.
of like his day-to-day stuff.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
that's probably what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
Mark, if you want, I can try to ask Kathy for that, and then I can try to get that to everybody.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll-
it would just give me a better
Sure,
understanding.
sure.
Yeah.
And be able to ask, like,
That
come up
probably
with
should be one of the
questions.
questions too, is the familiarity with mass procurement laws, because if we have somebody that isn't a procurement officer now, and is gonna have to do that,
Yeah, I'd agree.
he's gotta at least
Yeah.
be aware and.
Look at Dave, you just came up with your first question, just
See,
like that.
I've got one, what I'll have to do two?
Kevin, can you check with, Chris will know, like, executive session, I mean, coming up with the questions might fall under the negotiation exception, so.
I think so, I think so, that's what, I will definitely check and see if we
Yeah.
can,
Okay.
yeah.
So the next meeting, we want to all come back with 2 or 3 questions each, is that the game plan?
That is a possibility.
I think that's a great idea, and then
Well,
you
yeah.
kind of
give
say,
it-
okay,
Yeah, see
my
what-
guess is people are gonna be probably pretty close when you start reading the question, okay, yeah, and, you know,
Yeah.
Jen and I have that same kind of question, but we worded it a little differently, so.
Yeah.
You know, like you say, the chief procurement one, obviously, at this point, nobody's probably gonna ask that one, because you already came up with, we'll give you that one, Dave, so, but,
Sorry.
yeah, but some kind of, yeah, but some kind of
Leave that
question.
out of the film.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, just, it's either they know it or they don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
they
that-
have
yeah.
experience with it or they
We,
don't.
we just
you
want to know what their background is.
Right.
Right,
And
and if they're,
they're not going to be able to lie about it. I mean,
Yeah.
they got to say
No.
that, yeah,
And
I've
again,
done this, this, and this.
A lot of things you would expect to see on the resume.
right,
Right.
At this,
Yeah.
at this level, a lot of that information is on someone's resume.
Okay, so are we gonna distribute the applications prior,
how are we
now?
gonna handle that?
Or are we doing that, gonna wait till we get them all?
I don't know if we were gonna wait till the 8th and then kind of get them. I suggested possibly that Kathy could print them all up for us and I could deliver them to everybody during the day. That way I'll just leave them for people so they have them. That way there's not, again.
Sure, or
Some of
is
us-
there a way that we can
Yeah.
access them online?
Well, some of
no.
us unfortunately.
I mean, I'm just,
when
I'm
you
all
start
about
talking
technology.
online, our emails are public information.
Oh, that's
so,
true too, okay.
So, just a question after we review them, who's collecting them after?
I think maybe we just, we could collect them, I could hang on to them if you want in my office, and then when we say, okay, we're gonna do this many, these people, we'll just bring those
Okay.
back out.
Yep.
Select the top 3 and.
Well, no, we
How many
don't,
finalists do we
we're,
wanna bring forward? Did we say?
we're giving, my understanding, I think Glenn said this earlier, is we're gonna give them top 3. But out of 14, are we gonna interview all 14? I think we have to
Yeah.
go through the applications
what
and
you
kind of say,
have.
okay, and then probably have a get together to say, okay, is everybody on the same page, you know, okay, I like this candidate, you like this candidate, you know, and see if we can narrow it down a little bit from there.
I don't wanna interview 14 candidates.
No.
No.
And we're still 2 weeks out. It
3 or
could
4
be-
Yeah.
at
Three.
the most.
Yeah.
Right,
Well, you might have to do more than 3 or 4.
right, right,
I'm just thinking. To
Well,
narrow it
if-
down,
if
narrow it
you rule
down.
some out, yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Well, you
but
can-
half a dozen, I
The
know
thing
more
is,
than
and
that.
I wouldn't put a number on it.
Yeah.
Until we see what we have,
Look at the
absolutely.
Yeah.
resumes and you can look at the resumes and make sure you
That's
may,
true.
based on, okay, this person makes,
Yeah.
Several
meets the
are really-
qualification, this person doesn't make the qualification. You know,
It's
one
easy.
thing
You
is that
can-
he has no, or she has no, experience with municipality, or state, things.
And I'm assuming, just to want to clarify, just on process, is that the applicants, I'm making it say we get 24 applicants, that their applications remain confidential until they get to the final stage, right?
Yes.
Final stage,
Just-
just,
yeah.
I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that we respect that, okay.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, normally you only publish that, right?
the last 3 or
When
the
we
last
3
three
finalists,
submit
yeah.
three.
Yeah, when it
Okay.
actually goes to the,
Public
to
meeting.
the
Goes to
select
the
board as a
board.
public
Okay.
meeting interview, yeah.
We usually tell the candidate, so I'm, like, we've had them where, you know, it's not okay to, we do everything on the school spring, so it'll say,
Chris
is
is
it
gonna,
okay to contact your employer?
Chris is gonna
Yeah.
give me something that, when we get to the point where we're gonna interview somebody, he's gonna get me what the town has for a, basically say it's okay to do a background check and
Yeah.
contact,
Okay.
that, what you're talking about, contact your employer kind of
Yeah.
thing, and,
Yeah, okay.
The reference check.
yes.
And honestly, I would, feel like, personally, I like to look people up. Like, you know, I mean, they may pass their Cory check just fine, but,
Yeah,
they have
I've done that too.
I mean, we had Dan
Nothing like
from
social media.
East Hampton, and did in at least one candidate. Actually, East Hampton and a couple of different schools did not hire somebody because of their social media. I'm familiar with another school system where one of the candidates had an unfair labor practice that was found against them, and had also published an erotic novel, which had, they were trying to sell to the faculty. This was not
Nice.
in Western Massachusetts, but
Yeah,
it's kind of disqualifying.
yeah.
Mhm.
A good laugh on that one. Okay, is
All
there
right, I think we're to the point where,
next meeting?
yeah,
Here's my phone, but left it in the car.
You want it to be after the 8th?
I think we should get together before the 8th just to maybe go over questions and kind of get prepared,
Sure.
if possible.
Yeah, we should be, that'd be good. And we could talk more about how we're gonna screen them too.
Right.
While you're doing that, I left my phone in the car because I was listening to You're back.
Wednesdays can be tough for me. Is Thursday okay for everybody?
What day is that?
Thursday, 7th?
I could do the 7th.
I could do the 7th.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything going on.
No?
The only thing I.
I'll just go meeting to meeting.
There
I
might
go
be
West
a
Street Building, then I'll
state
come here.
Soccer game for the
You know,
girls.
meeting mode.
Exactly. I'm sorry?
I said there might be a state soccer game for the girls, because
Okay.
we're just getting into that, so that might determine, my availability, but I won't know until
It gets
after,
closer.
until we get after Western Mass.
Is Meredith playing?
Yeah.
Wow.
She's the varsity goalie,
I haven't seen her since she was in
playing piano.
4th or 5th grade.
Yeah. You wouldn't recognize her.
I'm
Her
sh-
face is the same, but she's not the same.
So November 7th at 6.
If that works for everybody.
It should work for me.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna do, bring questions. And we'll discuss the screening.
Any questions?
3 questions each, or as many as we can come up with?
Um,
What do you want to do?
Well, I think maybe, yeah, as
I
many as
mean-
people come up with that, you know, then we can kind
Yeah.
of narrow them down because.
Yeah, all
I
right.
think 3.
fewer than the
At least
number of
3.
candidates, that's all. Because that would be 15, and that would be a lot to go through if everybody came with 15 questions, but, yeah, don't limit yourself to a number arbitrarily.
All right. Okay, 3 to 5 questions anyway. Okay.
Questions and what else?
We'll discuss the screening, like how we're gonna, first screen the resumes, and I don't know if this is the same as like when we hire teachers, but once in a while I get these resumes and they look great, and it's like, I really have looked forward to working with kids, and they're like 45 years old and they've never done it before, and they're not certified to teach, but you get those.
Yeah.
Minor setback.
We had some this time around from the Philippines,
Yeah.
which was just, well, Filipino people, but it's kind of hard to check up on them when they're, in the Pacific Ocean.
All right.
Okay,
Okay.
You need a motion to adjourn?
Motion to
I'll
adjourn.
make that motion.
A second?
all's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.